We all have lots and lots of ink pads, am I right? Some people have full set syndrome. Let me show you my ink collection. See, I have a lot. But there's got to be other ways to use our ink pads except for inking up our stamps and stamping. So this video is all about different techniques that I call the swinking technique. Swinking is actually a word vomit that I came up with. I was trying to say ink swiping and inking, and thus swinking was born. So let's hop on into the video and try out some swinking techniques of our own. The first thing we are going to do today is swink a scene. I just love the word swink, swinking. I love it. So I'm going to take my ink pads. I will list all the colors that I'm using in the description, but they all are Catherine Pooler inks. And I'm just basically swinking a scene here. I'm just swinking my ink pads right onto this cardstock. Anytime I add a lot of water, I am using watercolor cardstock. I will state that. Here is watercolor cardstock, and then just to kind of blend it out some, this is like a cheat way of doing it, just add some water droplets over the top, and it gives this really cool result. So you have all the texture from swinking, and then here's a finished card I made with this, just 2 die cuts that came out of my magic mug. Let's do some acrylic block swinking. Any acrylic block size you have will work. Just go ahead and swink your ink pads directly onto the block. Try not to have the colors overlap on the pad so you don't transfer ink. Go ahead and spray that acrylic block with some water and make sure there's no harsh line. And then go ahead and press your block down. Now if you lift it straight up, you're going to get that weird look here. Let me show you again. So you got that line there. Just take your block and just kind of jiggy it. Just shake it onto the watercolor cardstock. That is watercolor cardstock. And once it dries, you get this pretty look here. Now you can take the same water that's left on your block and just jiggy it down a piece of watercolored cardstock. That is all I did. Leftover ink, jiggied it down on a second piece of cardstock, and then I got that result, and I was able to create these 2 cards with it. All the images, the dies, the sentiments all came out of my magic mugs, and I just think these cards are so fun. Let's do some SWINK smooshing. Say that 10 times over. This is some plastic I grabbed out of the garbage. I think it came with some stencils or something, and I'm just swinking on some colors. I'm going to spray it with water, and you can see it move around on the plastic, and then take the plastic, flip it over, and press your ink. Smoosh it, smoosh, 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 right through it. That's watercolor cardstock again. And you can see this beautiful result. Now, if you want a little bit more texture, just press a little bit here and there, and then you get some more texture. You can go get saran wrap, but why bother when you already have the plastic out anyway? Then take another piece of cardstock, press it down onto what's left over on the plastic there, and bada bang, bada boom, you got 2 cards, 2 backgrounds rather. I did turn one of these into a card. The other one I put and filed away for my backgrounds. Whenever I need to create a card, I have a bunch of backgrounds that I've already pre-made there. Now let's do some heat emboss swinking. These Catherine Pooler inks are water reactive, but they also stay wet a little bit longer, so you're able to do some embossing. So I'm going to go ahead and swink on 3 different colors, and then I'm going to sprinkle on some clear embossing powder, and that's just going to set, it's going to trap my ink colors underneath. So if I want to do any more ink blending or anything like that over the top, these colors will be trapped underneath. So this is just clear embossing powder. I'm going to sprinkle it on and heat emboss. Now why I'm doing that, I do have to thank my sponsor Skillshare. You guys know I love it. I love Jane Davey. She just released a couple more classes here, but this is the first class I ever took from her, and I learned to create a watercolor panda bear. And here's some other things I learned to watercolor, all from Skillshare. I do have a coupon code down in the description below. Be sure to check out all that information and see how you can get some free Skillshare yourself. I can't say enough nice things about it. So now that I've gone ahead and heat set those top 3 colors, I can go ahead and swink on a couple of different colors, and you can see that green did not overlap into the yellow because it was all heat embossed. So then I'm left with this beautiful embossed background. You can add die cuts over the top or do whatever you want. I filed this away in my background section to create cards with later. Let's do some plaid swinking. We're going to do it a couple of ways. First, I'm using my ink pad here. If you have the minis, you will get thinner lines, but I don't, so I made it work. And I'm just going over and swinking on just little dashes here. Don't worry that there's more colors in some area than others. It doesn't matter. This is where you get to know your inks and figure out what colors work great together. This is is regular white cardstock, by the way. This is not watercolored. And just swink until you're happy with how it looks to create a plaid. That's really all there is to it. I loved how this looked and created a card with this background. Again, all images from my magic mug. Now you can do stencil swinking a plaid. I slowed this down because you can actually get 3 backgrounds from one sitting with this. So I've gone ahead and I'm going to ink up. I've got 3 different colors here and I'm just pressing it through the stencil. Now you have to be sure that you see the ink going in between the lines onto the paper there. So I'm being very careful. A lot's going on the stencil, but not a lot's going through the blank spaces, if you can see. So I'm just really taking my time with this Cranberry Fizz to make sure all the color is there. It's gonna be a light color, but that's okay. That's what we want. So then I'm gonna lift it up and I've got my first print, right? We're gonna create a plaid from this. You can leave it as is, or we're gonna create a plaid. But before moving on, go ahead and spray that stencil a little bit with some water, grab some watercolored cardstock, and then press your cardstock directly onto that stencil. And now you're gonna get a second print. So I'm just pressing it. When you're using water and watercolor cardstock, give it an extra second for the watercolor ink to transfer. And then look at that. That is so cool. I'll show you a better picture of that in just a second. But now I'm gonna take the same stencil, I'm gonna lay it over another piece of watercolor cardstock, and I'm just gonna clean it. I didn't flip it over to transfer the ink. I'm simply cleaning my stencil. And then look at the result there. So I've got 3 prints here from one passing, if you will. To create a plaid, just turn your paper or your stencil, whichever one you prefer, the opposite direction the lines are going, and then we're gonna do the exact same thing again. Find a color that you like that works well together, and just start swinking, doing the same exact thing we did the first time. You can see most of the ink is going on the stencil. So again, if you're using any kind of stencil that has open spaces, make sure you can see the ink transferring between, you know, where the open space is. And that's really all there is to it. Turn the paper if you need to. I'm right-handed, so I always have to flip it around to get that other edge there. Don't be afraid to lift the stencil up gently to make sure you've got good coverage, like I did right here. Oh, and I did tape the stencil to the paper from the back, just so it's not moving all around that's why you see those 2 pieces of tape there. So I just basically taped it from the back side. Or you could use your pixie spray, stencil spray, but I didn't feel like looking for it, so this worked for me. And once I was able to see I like that transfer, look at that cute little plaid. Isn't that cute? But remember, we're gonna make 2 more prints from this. So the first thing we're gonna do is spray the stencil, all right, because we need to move the ink around. So I've got the stencil with the ink facing me, sprayed it. I'm gonna take that print there that we did the first time, turn the lines completely the opposite direction. You can see I double checked myself. Press it down, give it good pressing motion so the ink has time to transfer. Whee! Whee! This is like real life, real speed. It's a little slow, but anyway, I wanted to slow down because we're doing 3 prints here. And then what are we gonna do here? You know it, we're gonna clean the stencil. So I left it, all the ink, everything face up. I didn't flip it over. And now I'm just cleaning my stencil. Just like that. Easy peasy, 3 prints. You got yourself some plaids. I love plaids. I think it's fun. Because these are not perfectly straight lines, this is something I really love. They're a little wonky. I'm a little wonky, so it fits. And here's the cards. Of course, I made cards with all 3 of these backgrounds because I just love the plaids. And don't be afraid to add washi tape. That little black strip on the left, that's washi tape. So don't be afraid to add a little jing to your cards. I'm just saying. Drip swinking. This is so easy, you have no idea. This is watercolor cardstock. I am basically applying a lot of ink at the top of the card there. You can see I'm being very heavy-handed. Watercolor cardstock, gotta have it. And then spray from the top. Spray it, whack it on your surface, and you get these beautiful drip lines. This is gone in the background file, so I can just create cards with all these backgrounds. So here's all the cards I made. Did you have a favorite swinking technique? Or do you have a swinking technique of your own that you would like to share with me so I can try it? Do let me know. Do check out the description for the Skillshare coupon just for you. And do click subscribe and follow me. Let me know. that you're here. Love to hear from you. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I will see you for my next video. What should it be on? What topic should I cover? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.